Steve from Custom Table Tennis. I thought what we'd have a look at today is one of our very popular blades. From our premium range is the Zebrano Carbon. So what you've got Zebrano outers, and then you can just about pick up your carbon layers in there, which it's quite a stiff, fast blade. So I would say you're not a beginner to intermediate, really, unless, and here's the thing, and I'll come to this later, unless you put something on like the Musa. But before we get into it, I'll just show you on our range of blades. The Zebrano is down here, the exotic series, and it's our second fastest blade. We've only got Wengi, which is really stiff and hard. I'm a big fan of the Zebrano, especially when I'm sealing the blades and it brings out the grain. I mean, you're never going to see it, but the blades, all these blades are going to be sealed when we put rubbers on. And then just while I'm at it, and then you can pause on these if you like, what he's decided to do, so he's intermediate to advanced, he's put the Musa on there, which is a non-tensor German rubber. So it's going to be very, very controllable, but it's still going to have the speed of the blade coming through, but the emphasis is on control. And then before I do anything else, before we get onto the blade, we'll get the rubber out of the way, and that you can have a look at the back of the packet. There's the back of the packet, if you want to pause on there. Massive, really, really popular with the coaches. For $29.99 for a made in Germany rubber. We think it's a little bit better than Mark V. Mark V came out in 1967. This has been around about 10 years, something like that. It's got the Physio-Elasto bias engineered spin, very, very grippy rubber. That's the front of the packet there. So we're a huge fan of it. Coaches love it. And it's just a controllable rubber if you don't want a tensor rubber. So that gets that out of the way. We've seen it on here, haven't we? On the chart. Yeah, so we've got it on the chart there. If I've not already done it, it's up here, look. It's a non-tensor rubber. So what I'll do then, I'll move on. I'll show you the bats, and then what I'll do is I'll do you some dimensions. This is how much a fan I am of Zebrano. So you can see the way that it's cut. We think it's African for zebra wood. Obviously, why? Because it only comes from one part of the world. Look at that. I think it's absolutely beautiful bit of wood. And there's a little egg with the grain running that way. Yeah, nice bit of wood. Like my Zebrano. So what we've got them in 3 handle shapes. So what I'll do, I'll bring the bats out. These are going out today. These have got the Musa on. When you buy a bat, by the way, you're gonna get the card with it with all the information on. And I think I probably left them behind there actually, but there you go. Made and cut to perfection. Beautifully made. We don't cut with scissors, and the blade is sealed. So what I'm going to do in the end, I'm just going to quickly seal one side. So we'll have a look at the dimensions, because people have started asking about the dimensions. I mean, you can pick these things up. This is quite an expensive one. You can pick a vernier gauge up for 10 quid. And we'll have a look at the dimensions, starting from the straight. So we'll zero that there. So your thickness is 6.772. If I let it go, it's about 6.8, somewhere around there. So it's quite a thick blade, which gives it its rigidity and makes it a very direct blade. And the handle, well, all handles, because people just ask about handles all the time. Nearly all manufacturers have got them. I'll just prove it to you. The handles are usually 4 inches or 100 centimeters, give or take. Look at that. It's absolutely bang on. And that's across the board, because we have people, the only way you get a longer handle is have one made by Woodnut. So they're all about this. You'd have to have a really big hand, you know, a width-wise hand, to be struggling for this not to fit. So on this one then, on the straight, we've got a 28.35, and then that way we've got 24.44. So it's, to some people like myself, it's absolutely critical. I've got a thicker handle than this, but I could actually play with that. Remind me at the end, I need to just show you what we do with that before it goes out. And then on the other one, on the flared, at the narrowest part, we've got 2837 going up to about 34.25, and then the thickness, we think it might be a little bit thinner there, 2346 going up to 25.8. So actually it really is nicely shaped, so it's thinner there, and it just feels nice. It reminds me a little bit of a, not quite as bulky as a Stiga Ansold also. That's going back to the 70s, 80s, or what it used to be called was the Legend, and Stiga for some reason have discontinued that one. So no, again, with the rubbers on, made to perfection, made in Germany. The rubbers going out today. And then we'll have a look at the anatomic one, because people get a little bit confused with this one. So what it is, if you've got the hollow in your hand, it's a little bit of a bump there, and then it goes in and then tapers out, but it's very, very subtle. Most people who play with it straight can play with an anatomic and vice versa, because it's just subtle. I mean, I've had anatomics and I've had straights. Nice, because these fingers there, if you've got a nice loose grip, you're holding on to it there. And of course, you've already seen that, but everyone, so you absolutely know what it is, and we've got it printed on there as well. So at the narrow part, you probably won't pick it up too well because it's very subtle. You've got 7879 going up to the thickest part. Let's do that again. You've got to get off the shoulders of the blade. So you've got 78.6 moving up to 78.5, I mean, 28 rather, I don't know what I'm on about. And then narrowing there, and then at the thickest part you've got 31.73. Thickness wise, 23.1 going up to 24.8. So again, it is subtle, but really nice blade and fits nice in the hand. So these pair are going out today, and you get your card and your box with all your information on. What I'm going to do quickly, because somebody's just said, oh, I like it when they seal a blade. I'm like, okay. Well, any bat that's any bat that we make, it's no secret anymore. If people just want to make sure they you can buy the service and put it in the basket. £5. Is it £5 for sealing a blade? It's £3 for sealing a blade, and £5 for the click glue surface.
That's if you're not having rubbers on it.
Yeah, that's if you're not having rubbers on. Yeah. So you can pay for the service. If we send a blade out, yeah, these are sealed anyway. I shouldn't really tell you, but there you go. So it's a bit therapeutic. I normally do half a dozen at a time. I mean, I use this because of convenience, and I'm doing them every day. I can't be bothered with brushes and cutting in here and what have you. But if you do this, don't put 4 layers of yacht varnish on and then the rubbers won't stick. You've got to use a water-based. It's got to be ITTF approved. Well, if you're putting some water-based stuff on, who'll ever know? But this is ITTF approved, and you want a matte finish. You don't really want a silk finish, and you certainly don't want a gloss finish, because then you put it on and then straight away you've got to sand it down, because you actually want your rubbers to stick. But all we do, a little bit out there, you don't want any more than that, and then you just work it on. And look how it brings the grain. I mean, it brings the grain out, but we're going to put rubbers on anyway. But it's just one of them. It's just, you see where you're going. Get into the edges. Right into the edges. And like that. And then just hold it to the light. Make sure you get it on. That's perfect. Down there. I might as well do the whole blade, actually. And then we also do around the edges. The edging tape sticks better. This is protected around the edges better. If you are prone to banging your bat on the edge of the table, it'll help you a little bit. But Very, very popular blade. Our second fast. We've actually got one of our sponsored county players using this blade, and she does very, very well with it. So that side's finished. Just make sure you get it there, hold it to the light, and then the same on the other side. And then when we've done this, we just set it down to dry. We usually like to give them at least an hour, but they touch dry in about 15 to 20 minutes. But it's got to be water-based, can't use oil-based. Don't listen to people, oh, it alters the characteristics of the blade. Well, our county players can't really tell. You know, high-end players can't really tell it. You're being pernickety if you think it does. All you're doing is sealing the blade so that when you take the rubbers off, you're not going to be damaging the blade and you have to buy a whole bat. This is why it's cut, it's done. It just sits down and dry. This is one of the reasons why we're not accepting bats back unless people pull the rubbers off themselves, especially if it's belonged to a loved one who's no longer around and it's precious to you. We just say, just keep the bat as it is. You don't want to be taking the rubbers off it. What can happen is with a really old blade is, you imagine you've had rubbers on for 30, 40 years, like people on old Steegs and things, and then you take the rubbers off, if you can even get them off. Don't use anything wet or chemicals, because that runs around the edges and lifts the plies. So you're scraping away. I've seen people gouge them off with chisels and they come back and they've got polyfiller in. It's just really, really not worth it. Unless you can get them off in one piece. So it's not something we recommend. And the worst case scenario, and we've had one came back and it was like a rocking horse. It just warped completely. It's been held together for 30, 40 years. Then you get the rubbers off, expose it to the light, and it ends up like a banana. Then you can't put rubbers on. So we're not actually stripping blades, especially sentimental ones. I mean, obviously they're being supplied by us. We know they're sealed and we've not a problem with that. So just thought we'd bring you the Zebrano. It gets overlooked a little bit, but it is on our list. I'll show you just one more time. That's the rubber list. So you're down here. It's the Premium Exotic series. So it starts at the rosewood. I might do, when I've got a nice rosewood going out, I might redo the rosewood again. And it's another one that I like sealing. So there we are on the Zebrano. I like it. I think it's a really attractive wood and purposeful because it's quite high on the janker, which gives its hardness rating. Steve from Custom Table Tennis. Hit the like and subscribe, and until next time, bye for now.